Hey, friends and revolutionaries. It's time to answer some questions and give away some figures. It's something where it's been a week, been a little bit more than a week, guys. Good to see you, actually. You know, thanks for not forgetting about me. But yeah, it's time to answer the questions from the Mark II Q&A. And been some good ones. Got some great ones. First off, let me go ahead and apologize. I am back to using the old camera, my old video software. So if the quality on this video isn't so hot, it's because it's not a review, it's a Q&A, and I'm mainly doing this for speed. So if the quality isn't so hot, that's why. Trust me, I'll get back to the other camera when we get back to the next wave of DC Universe. But big time thanks to the 8 folks, the magnificent 8, the awesome 8, who sent me video questions. Thank you guys. As much as I like to buy each and every one of you something special because if you took the time to do the videos, I'm not that rich a man. So I happen to track down a second Lara Croft from Tomb Raider Underworld. If you saw my review of her, go look it up. If not, if you did, you know she's actually a very fine figure. And figure that was something especially nice to give away to one of you guys who sent me a video question. So your name's in there. We'll answer your questions, and we'll do the drawing for you guys first. You're still in the fishbowl for the Wave 10. You know, don't think you're not. But who knows? Somebody may be lucky enough to win both. Getting on with the questions. First one comes from VanHammer73. Awesome dude, good YouTube friend. Thank you. His question is, what comic storyline would I like to see made into a live-action animated movie? Live-action or animated movie? What storyline would I like to see? I didn't care for the DC Universe Death of Superman. That was just rushed. It was completely wrong, and it didn't look all that good. I think the character designs on that movie were terrible. So you know, it's one of those DC movies, anime movies I own, but I pretend I don't. You know, I'd much rather pretend that doesn't even exist. What I would like to see, though, is as trilogies are a big thing, I would love to see with the next Superman movie that comes out, kind of a B story or even a C story, even push it even further in the back, with basically picking up Superman where he's kind of left off, and then start introducing or start alluding to Doomsday. Maybe even, you know, start introducing him, start showing maybe glimpses of him, to the point where at the very end, in that baggy suit that he had on at the end of, or at the very beginning of the Death of Superman story, you know, at the end of that movie, you know, have him escape wearing that suit, and make that the ending, make that the cliffhanger ending of the first movie. Maybe with a few Justice League characters or some, you know, some hero, somebody of some significance, you know, just getting themselves trashed and beaten just to show how, you know, awesome he is. You know, if make it a backstory, maybe have Captain Atom in there, not as a real major character, just that he's there, and show at the end of that movie that Doomsday escaped and, you know, Captain Atom is trashed. So, you know, just to show that this guy's serious. Pick up the first movie, or the second movie, I should say, if it was like an hour and 45 minutes. Pick up the second movie with everybody trying to hunt down Doomsday. Do about 30 minutes of that. And then an hour of just Superman and Doomsday having at it. Not a lot of dialogue, but a lot of special effects and a lot of mind-numbing action. That's all I ask. You know, it's something where it's not real significant, not a whole lot of dialogue going on, just a lot of action between Doomsday and Superman busting each other up. That's what I want to see for an hour in the second part of that trilogy, with at the very end, with the funeral of Superman being interrupted or being crashed by the 4 Supermen, and make that the cliffhanger of the second one. Maybe pick up the third movie, with each of those Supermen doing their own thing, kind of being their own version of Superman, and then having that movie having to do with the Eradicator bringing the real Superman back, and then them joining up with Steel and Superboy to take on the cyborg Superman, who is, of course, the most aggressive of them all, and make that kind of the third movie. So do a kind of a setup in this first one, the one they're about to come out. I don't think they're going to, but it'd be great if they did. The second one, mostly nothing but fighting between Doomsday and Superman, ending with the Reign of the Superman story opening, the Reign of the Superman kind of being the first half of the third movie, and the Return of Superman being the last 45 minutes of the last hour of the third movie. That would be awesome. Live action, again, a lot of special effects. Not much going on in that second movie, but just a really long killer fight scene. Don't make it so long that it was like the fight scene in Revenge of the Sith, with Anakin and Obi-Wan. That got boring. But really make it interesting with a lot of great effects. That would be cool. And I've talked a long time on that answer. So, moving on. Second question comes from Nine Fires. Nine Fires, the Rebel Nine Fires. Dude, I said, please keep it to 2 questions, and you asked me 5. Good questions, so I'll answer them. Your first one was, who is Veronica Lodge's dad? For anybody who doesn't know who Veronica Lodge is, look her up. You might have some fun doing it. But her dad was Hiram Lodge. Hiram Lodge, the richest man in town. Yep, Hiram. Coffee or tea? Well, I'm from Texas, so I really should go without saying iced tea all the way, man. We are all about iced tea around here. Foreigner domestic, stick or automatic? Well, it's not what I have, but if I could get it, I want a stick, a domestic stick prior to 1972. That would be what I'd get. And Bill Shatner's next TV role after The Trek got me on the name. I don't remember the name of it. I know it was a Western. I know he played a cowboy. I don't remember the name of the character or the name of the show, but I remember it was a Western. So that was old Bill's role after that. Blue 3 Devil. What would I have done different had I had superpowers? If I go back and do something over, but with superpowers, what would it be? Well, I think the one that jumps out to my mind the most was when I lived with a girlfriend for the first time, or the first girlfriend that I had lived with. We got a snake in our apartment, and we were up on the 3rd floor. And she flipped out when she saw it. She saw it out in the living room, and it's one of the things where she flipped out, ran outside. I had no idea what was going on. I just went out there, and she just blurted it out, and we had to call animal control, had them come out. It was a mess. Needless to say, if I had had a power at the time, it would have been animal communication, just say, hey, Legless, it's nice to see you. Thanks for stopping by, but you freaked out my girl. You got to leave. So, it was one of the things where it took a couple of hours, and everything was fine. They got the snake out fine. It was just, a harmless grass snake because we lived out by a creek. But it was one of the things where, yeah, that would have been the one I would have done over if I would have had powers. So, second one, the Smiling Stranger asks, who do I think has a more well-rounded universe, Marvel or DC? I think that it's fair to say that Marvel has a more well-rounded universe, only insofar as that the characters, the motivations behind the characters seem to be a little bit more tend to fluctuate, tend to be able to fluctuate a little bit better. They seem a little malleable. Versus DC. DC is more cut and dry. There's definitely good guys and bad guys in DC, and there are good guys and bad guys that switch sides, but the motivations are never really very good for it. In Marvel, if you need to see a bad guy join the good guys, that's pretty understandable. The storyline seems to lend itself there. The character seems to fit into that role very well. Just like, if there's something a good guy does and they do something bad, well, again, the motivations and how it's written, it's always done very well. So I think the characters and the way they're written in Marvel make it a much more well-rounded universe versus DC. His next question is, what character do I best relate to? You are obviously a follower of the Joker. For me personally, and it's funny, I don't have a figure of this character at all. I have to track one down, but it's something where I think that of all the heroes and villains that I probably most relate to, or at least can connect to, or would like to think I do, is Lobo. I'm not a beer swilling, cigar smoking bike rider. Not at all. But it's something where, his attitude of you live life as it hands it to you. It's something where enjoy yourself, have a good time. It's something where, eat, drink, and be merry. Don't waste life worrying and being concerned. Lobo's got an attitude that just sort of reminds me of an old George Carlin quote. Don't sweat the petty stuff and never pet the sweaty stuff. And and actually, even Lobo might not follow that all the way, but I definitely relate to the main man, for sure. Minimate Master 42K. What's my favorite comic-based video game? That goes back to the old arcade game. And for those of you who may not know, there used to be a time when there would be places, usually next to movie theaters, where they had video games in boxes. And you go in and plunk in a quarter and play the game, and believe it or not, the arcade game was actually better than the home version. Amazing. Amazing, I know, but true. And in one of these, ancient arcades, Konami, who was around back then, yes, Konami, had a 6-player X-Men game. It was, I think they had there was a 4-player version and a 6-player. It had to be the 6-player, because when you got all 6 people playing one of the X-Men, it was just such a crazy mess. It was so much fun. That was so cool. You didn't have to ask to join, because there were 6 players. It's just one of the things where you just take the empty spot. And you had 6 people playing, then you had about 60 people standing around watching. And it was a fun game as it was, but the more action that was going on that screen, the crazier it was. They never did a satisfactory home version of it, but, 6 people sitting around playing the home version nowadays probably wouldn't go over very well. Though they could update it, I guess. But that was my favorite superhero video game. The Konami 6-player X-Men game. Arcade. Look them up. They used to be all over the place. And second, if I could be a hero, what powers would it be, and what would be my name? If I could be a hero and had power, I would be indestructible. I think I'd want to be indestructible and just be called Spiff Daring. Yes, Spiff Daring, indestructible. Brandy Fan 4. What do I do in my spare time? That's a pretty good question. It's one of the only ones I think I got that was just kind of a, what about you? So I read a lot. I've got my Kindle, so I do read a lot. Hunt down figures. When I get off work, I'll head over to my Toys R Us, Walmart, comic book store. If I go that side of town, I usually hit all 3 of those just to see what's out. See what's available. With the Arkham Asylum stuff that's out, I am definitely going to be going up to the comic book store here probably within the next week or 2. Guys, I've seen your reviews on them. These are some great figures. I can't wait to get my own. Expect to see a Harlequin review here not too long. But yeah, I hunt down figures a lot. Don't watch much TV, though I do love movies. Just got the All-Star Superman DVD, which is actually really good. I highly recommend getting that one. Actually, I watched that one and I was feeling good. And the same time I got that one, I got Splice. And that movie was just wrong. Oh, that was just wrong. You guys, if you love kind of twist endings that are real kind of ooh, go get Splice, rent it, buy it, check it out, because believe me, ooh, it's going to be the first thing that you think. That's the first thing I thought. It's like, oh, that's just wrong. Let's see here. Next, the Stash Bin. 5-hero team-up, Marvel or DC. Who would want to see in a Marvel team-up 5 characters from either Marvel or DC? Well, I always thought that a kind of cool team-up or a cool 5-man story would involve Ghost Rider with Doctor Strange and Scarlet Witch kind of doing their mystic, magic-y kind of thing. And then them getting interrupted and ambushed by Mystique and Deadpool. And from there, whatever mysticky, magical kind of thingy happens kind of throws them into this post-biblically apocalyptic. So not nuclear apocalypse, but the literal biblical apocalypse. Having them thrown to another reality where that's the way the world is. Kind of Blackheart's the one taking care of stuff. And see the story of Mystique and Deadpool just wanting to get home, Doctor Strange and Scarlet Witch wanting to do something to basically help this reality, and then the Ghost Rider just doing what the Ghost Rider does, him being kind of the wild card in the whole story there. Have the same kind of reality, have maybe even some of the same kind of heroes. Just see those 5 now having to be teamed up in this biblically post-apocalyptic reality, and seeing those 3 trying to work together with Ghost Rider kind of being on the edge. That would be cool. If I could have a power, knowing it would lead to villains of equivalent power, what would it be? It's a good question, because there's always that question of if you have superpowers, what would you pick? But if you have to stop and think about, okay, well, what would having that power mean, and what could it lead to? I probably would wuss out a bit, especially if it's going to be something where if I'm the only person with powers, except for whoever the villain would be, because I wouldn't want to be a Superman. I wouldn't want to be a Superman or like Green Lantern kind of character, because I wouldn't want to invite like some sort of intergalactic despot to come to Earth. If anything happens, it's got to be something kind of local. The worst case scenario, maybe poison water supply, take over the city. But it's not. I don't want to make it so big that at some point, whoever the villain that comes up would be able to turn around and just wipe out the world. No. So, if I were to pick something, I probably would pick something like mind control, like Jedi style. It's something where you could still do some awesome stuff with it, but you wouldn't be inviting any kind of universe changing or dimensional altering villains to come in and whoop your butt. So that would probably be what I would choose there. And I'll probably get into that more here when I do the review of the Superman Batman Apocalypse video. That's something I keep wanting to get to. I'm trying to do something better than I did for Public Enemies, but I do want to get to that video, because that actually was really good. Okay, so we're down to about a minute. We're running about 20 minutes here. I think that's long enough. Guys, thank you again for sending your video questions. I really appreciate it. It's been a very successful I'm sitting here trying to juggle paper, but it's been a very successful kind of video Mark II with 9 responses, and the winner here was Van Hammer 73. So Van, congratulations! You've won the Tomb Raider Underworld. It's something where I just send me the address you want me to send it to, and you're going to be the winner. I'm sending it your way. Now, for the rest of you, again, Van, everyone else that's in this jar, you're still in the fishbowl, so we still got another maybe 20 minutes, 20, 30 minutes maybe, who knows how long it'll go, of answering the text questions, but we'll get to those soon enough. For tonight, I just want to thank everybody for watching. Rate, comment, subscribe, stick around. We got Wave 10 to give.